It was a long shoot, and again, we're working at Pinewood Studios in London, and it's, you know, working through those winter months in freezing cold sound stages, and, you know, everybody gets miserable, everybody gets sick, and that really takes a toll on you.
So no kidding, it's really cold here. I think they said this is the coldest weather they've had in 4 years.
In these pictures, they've always had, you know, long working hours and often 6-day weeks and just a killer schedule and no mercy from the studio.
We went through this production continually reworking the script to make up for a short pre-production, a rush into... The movie got greenlit based on a whole different version of the script. And David was forced to deal with that in a very short period of time, where he had to design the alien, he had to design the sets, and he had to write the script all the way into the depths of production.
We were not working with a full completed script to its conclusion, so that is problematical because you're dealing with a catch-up process all the time, you know, trying to sort of move forward but also trying to finish off. I mean, because the days we work are very long, so if you're trying to finish a script, and certainly as a director, not that he was the writer, but if you're trying to work with the writers to conclude something, you know, you're going to have huge problems trying to do that whilst working at very long days that we work as well.
I remember I was sent to the dressing room for a lie down, and he came in an hour later, and he said, listen, drop the accent. So there's a scene, I've watched the picture where in one scene I'm sounding like God knows who. Charles Manson. Or Charles Manson's British cousin.
He's on mines. Nobody can stop it.
What about Boggs and
But
Rains?
it got slaughtered like pigs. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
And then I'm sounding like some fella from Liverpool. All of a sudden, in a straitjacket.
You married?
Me?
You should get married, have kids. Pretty girl. I used to know lots of them back home.
Happy days.
Okay, and Paul, let's start with your chin down a little bit more, like he's a little lower than that. There we go. And
Roll sound.
if you want to take 5. And action.
Cut.
One more. It was a little bit too fast.
I do remember that, you know, that we were always adapting to new material. Without, you know, but that, you know, that we're not the only movie that has done that. But it was the stakes were just too high to do that because our unit was so big, and you know, we just had so many people on the payroll. We had so many, you know, and we were it wasn't flexible because we had sort of shot our wide with set construction. But almost when I got there, you know, there was almost like no money left in set construction.
The sets are fantastic. I mean, unbelievable sets. And some of the sets we worked on are huge, like 40, 50 foot high constructions. And the thing will look extraordinary. I know that.
You go onto the set and it's smoky and you see one of the actors in costume and makeup sort of standing by a wall. You're in the movie. You know, never mind the music and all the, you know, the actual whatever it looks like on the screen, which is always different anyway, and the cutting and the editing. It's already all there for you.
We're trading a difficult area here, an area that combines both some science fiction and the past. There are hints of, in certain things you can see some Art Nouveau influences and other things. We're really taking an old world and saying this is in the future sometime. It's rather like seeing medieval architecture today.
I actually have felt a great camaraderie with these particular actors because a lot of them, we have some mutual friends, and they're sort of, we have similar trainings and stage experience, so I've actually felt more comfortable with this cast than with any of them.
I spent the third film watching Sigourney work. a lot, you know, just watching her. Even on my days off, I would come and just watch the way she worked, because needless to say, she was the veteran of the cast.
The first line is what? What is it?
Oh, you're telling me.
Yeah, so just give me a little bit of a moment, and then so I can just sit on this guy holding his toothbrush going, so they can tell me they're coming to take it away, but it's fine, that's what we want. If they don't kill it, we want, you know, at least to get rid of it.
You could have done many great Shakespeare plays with this group. You know, you could have done any of them. And they all were very, I thought they were very loyal to Dave.
He is extraordinary, you know, utter total confidence, which he inspires from the people that he works with.
I would never have thought it was his first film. And where he's placing the camera, I've never seen it done that way.
His ideas seemed very cinematic. Even then he'd joke, he said, yeah, this is a sort of Hitchcockian bit, you know, and here comes John Ford. And so there are all these little nods, you know, and it was a lovely energy, you know, it was the kind of, the energy of somebody confident and someone who was a fan.
A sliver at the bottom of the 65mm frame is the ground, and then it's mostly sky. So we would do the split so that along, like the first, if you imagine that pretty much just to the left of where the turquoise, the tent is. Right. Just to the left is where the left side of frame is.
I was a different person on Alien3. I mean, I've never been as tough in some way. I mean, I don't know what people remember me, but I knew I had to kind of like step up to the plate or just get buried. And I don't know if I got buried or not. I don't know what really happened, to be honest.
Not very good weather for this. Dusk. Yeah, but dusk in a blue sky means no shoot.
It's supposed to rain this afternoon.
Okay, dusk in a blue sky means no shooting. Yeah. Okay?
Aren't we painting the sky?
No. Dusk in a blue sky. You can't paint the sky right along there. Okay, Ezra?
Gotcha.
We're cool on the concept now. We're all hip to this. You saw it right here.
Dusk in a blue sky.
Ezra just
we'll
said,
shoot it anyway.
If it's a blue sky, we don't have to shoot. Right, Ezra? Hi, Joe.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that one. Let's see that.
Yeah, that one?
That's it.
Guess the drill. That's the one you want.
Yeah.
You know, those mechanical effects guys from London were unbelievable. You know, what they did, and you know, and the marshalling for each shot of wind machines and doors opening and closing and smoke coming in, and you know that I learned a lot on that movie.
The thing with that movie is there were no weapons as such, so trying to create this mayhem with just fire was pretty tricky. But I think we did it convincingly.
Priorities of special effects, especially mechanical special effects, is always safety. You know, we always have to think we're going to do the job without hurting anybody, and that's always the most important thought in our mind.
It was getting through the fire sequences as well as we could safely. We had a couple of instances where things were quite tricky.
Yeah, there were a couple of injuries. No one was killed. I mean, no one suffered any life-threatening. But you know, there was a fire thing that happened. You know, there was a kind of blowback through one of those tubes, and a couple of the special effects and fire marshal guys got burned. They recovered, but there were a couple of things. It was a very challenging movie. It was a dangerous movie. And we were lucky more didn't happen.
She'll come through, it'll be dark, and then she'll come into this section and there'll be lights.
Jordan Cronenworth, who I was a terrific admirer, he actually did Blade Runner, you know, with Ridley. Started the picture, and he got ill, you know. Like in the first week, it wasn't going well.
That's kind of just a sad story, to be honest. I mean, my view, first of all, I mean, he's the only person I've ever seen David have reverential respect for is Jordan.
I like that a lot. Yeah, can I get something through that window in there?
Okay. But wait till you see it sprayed down so it's balanced.
Okay. My father had Parkinson's disease. He had it for 25 years, and I got there, and I understood it. it's this very specific condition. It's not a general condition. And it has a trait that is really, really difficult, which is that you have huge swings of functionality, and you can be almost fully functional, and then you can be like paralyzed, stiff as a board, unable to move. So I get there and I go, Jordan's got Parkinson's disease. I mean, I didn't know it, you know what I mean? So I was going, that, to add that to the mix.
It would really be helpful to us if we could determine
exactly
the
the
parameters
masters
of the shot.
All right. Well, let's get a camera here.
The way these guys work now is that there's got to be somebody who's reading the light meter also. And there were things like crawling into, the inside of a spaceship that's hanging from a crane, right, to get a reading. And, and Jordan, when he was okay, he could go do that. But there were times when it just really wasn't possible. I mean, Jordan's eye never wavered. I think what it was just his ability to get out there and, get all the readings he needed on these enormous sets.
I might see over as far as that is where the paper is.
That's for close-up.
Right, I understand. But if that was out of the way, I would see the muslin, wouldn't I?
Yes, you would.
Okay. Well, that would be problematic. So we can't get the same effect without going a little bit harder, right?
David didn't just, David didn't want like some overall light. He wanted, variations and some hot spots and half a stop here. And, that's what Jordan does. So, I think that's, it was just physically very demanding.
We ran Jordan's stuff that they'd shot so far. And I thought, Christ, I hope I'm good enough to match this, because it was brilliant. The most challenging part of the shoot, I think probably the corridors, because there's so much action in these corridors that led to that lead mine, where all the lead falls down. Because tunnels are always difficult. You have to put a light at the end so it shines back, and then, because there's nowhere to put the lamps. So I had to use little small units, quartz units, that I'd hide behind the bulkheads and these sliding doors and things. But you could only shoot in one direction because you had to hide them. You couldn't have them shining back at you. So whenever we did the reverse, I had to take all the lamps and put them on the other side and so on. So that was a challenge to make it get any shape and make the actors look good and so on. And to keep the requisite amount of mood in it, because it's got to be fairly dark, otherwise people, if you can see everything, there's no tension, there's no mystery, and there's no, because you keep wanting to look in the shadows to see if the monster's there and so on.
Action! Yoo-hoo! Hey, fuck this! Come on, get me! Take your drink! Shot!
Going down those tunnels was terrific, I thought. I was surprised because we did it Steadicam, and under crank to give it some speed and a sort of smoothness, really. And we shot it with a 10, because it was anamorphic film. We shot it with an unsqueezed 10mm lens, which gave it that kind of strange distortion. And the Steadicam operator, Peter Robinson, came in. And he suddenly did this flip with the Steadicam equipment, and we said, "Wow, Christ, that's great! Can you do that while you're running?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, of course." And he started running, and then he twisted, and he got this upside down idea. It was lovely. It wasn't lovely. It was quite scary, but at that time we were delighted, because I'd never seen that done before. It was terrific.
Leave him!
We were shooting from the floor, so the ceiling became more important than the floor, which is the obverse of what generally happens, you know. I mean, normally you light from the top, or in the old days you used to light from the rail, you know, light from the top down. And now here suddenly you can't put any lights up there because they're all in shot, you know. But it's a style, and it really actually came off, you know. Of the four, I think Alien³ is probably the most distinctive. I don't mean, I'm not pushing my own lighting, but the fact that it was all shot mostly from underneath made it distinctive, you know. It was different. And what amazed me, he conducted the whole unit from this monitor, you know. He used to sit in this monitor and look at the film, and they'd say, you know, via, well, just talking to the camera crew, you know. He'd say, move the camera left, push it in a bit, make a mark there. This is all through the monitor, you know, which amazed me. I'd never seen that before from a director.
And there were times where I had to do things that were very radical, like I shut down second unit a number of times.
I'd like A and B cameras on these, please. Can I see A and B? And action!
The whole sort of basis of finishing on that schedule was based on a very productive second unit. It was just like, so I just went, I stopped it, you know, and it was like, and then we kept trying different directors. Eventually we got a couple who we got some good work out of.
Is that it? Okay, let's put in sync, guys. Total abandon now. I hope someone goes to see this movie.